Thank you all for being here. As I was stepping up here, I was wondering if you have ever this experience of being like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and being so tired from the whole day, talking about different subjects and speakers and everything. And the only thing that you can think of is just, gosh, I just need a coffee and a break. If you had ever this experience and then you just stay and hear the speaker, and some minutes later you realize that you are fully immersed in what he or she is saying, and all the tiredness and all the boredom is just gone. We used to call that magic, but now we have a different word for that. We call that coherence. That's not working very well. So we call that coherence by now, and it's heart-brain coherence is the communication between our hearts and our minds. So for this presentation, I'm very honored to have the support of the pioneers in research in heart-brain communication. This is HeartMath Institute. So we're going to be seeing a short video from the head of research, Mr. McCready, that's going to explain you better what coherence means before we go on.
What we hear from people across the world, across all professions, is that stress, anxiety, and overwhelm are really out of hand. And a lot of this is due to so much change that's happening. And the way our brains work, we don't like change. Humans do not like change, especially unexpected change or change that we're not in control of. And as it turns out, one of the most effective ways to really reduce stress and anxiety, and even feelings of overwhelm, is to learn how to access the intelligence of the heart and shift the rhythms of the heart, which sends a different neural message to the brain. So a lot of people, probably even today, if you think about it, have had a situation where you were being told to do something or you wanted something, but there was a deeper sense or a deeper feeling that it's probably not the best choice. So that's what I mean by that lack of alignment. And that can really be a huge source of stress for people until they learn how to really get the alignment between the heart and brain, which is where coherence comes in. That's when the heart, mind, and emotions are aligned and working together harmoniously. Our basic research done here at the HeartMath Research Center focused more on the physiology of how the heart and brain communicate. Interestingly, a lot of people are surprised to learn that the heart sends more information through the nervous system to the brain than the other way around. And that sounds like some new discovery, but it's not. This has actually been known since the late 1800s. It's basic physiology. But this is important because the quality of these signals sent from the heart to the brain have profound effects on brain function, our mental clarity, even our emotional experience. So the brain is largely interpreting the signals from the heart to create how we feel. So this is why we focus on the heart so much, because if you can shift the rhythms of the heart, you can quickly improve brain function, reduce feelings of anxiety, stress, overwhelm, and so on. But it takes a different doorway, the heart. So when we get our systems coherent and have the alignment between heart and brain, that's really when we access that deeper intuition that we have within, inner guidance. So we have a new sense of clarity in a lot of decisions that can seem complex otherwise.
Which is a very buzzword lately. But let's see how we can use biofeedback to see what really happens in our hearts. Because we're not here to talk about spirituality. We're here to talk about the future of human experience with tech. So how many of you have a watch that is measuring your heart rate? Anybody? Do you get maybe this heart rate variability measurement? Some people do, some people don't. So the heart rate variability is a measurement that derives from the heartbeat, and it's the actual measurement that can show us how is our well-being and our inner state. I would like to introduce you Mr. Kruti, that's going to explain to you exactly what is your watch measuring, because I guess many of you don't really know why you have a sensor in your hand or your wrist.
Better understand coherence and how it affects us, we need to look at the physiological basis of coherence. This is an electrocardiogram showing 4 heartbeats. When we talk about heart rate, we simply talk about the number of times the heart beats in a minute. It used to be commonly thought that the heart beats at a steady rhythm. However, today we know that in a healthy, resilient person, the amount of time between each heartbeat varies. As you can see here, there's a different interval or amount of time between each heartbeat. In other words, the time between heartbeats varies or changes. We call this phenomena heart rate variability. You can imagine it as a speedometer in your car. The speedometer always shows you the current driving speed. This is determined based on a short measurement. You don't have to drive for an hour to know that you are currently driving 120 kilometers per hour, for example. A short measurement is enough. The driving speed is then expressed in the usual unit, kilometers per hour. The same applies to heart rate variability, HRV for short. A measurement is made and then extrapolated to the unit for the heart rhythm, beats per minute. The first interval of 0.859 seconds results in an instantaneous heart rate of 70 beats per minute. The next interval is a bit shorter. Now the instantaneous heart rate is 76 BPM. And the last interval of 726 milliseconds results in an instantaneous heart rate of 83 beats per minute. If we display the individual measured values of the current heart rate graphically, this results in a curve. Here we are looking at the beat-to-beat changes over a longer time period. The beats per minute equivalence for each pair of heartbeats is shown on the chart as a blue dot. The blue line that connects the blue dots forms the heart rhythm pattern. Each upslope represents an increase in heart rate, for example a series of heartbeats speeding up. Each downslope represents a decrease in heart rate, for example a series of heartbeats slowing down. This curve is called heart rate variability. So the heart is accelerating, decelerating and again accelerating. This happens all the time, 24 hours a day, even while we are sleeping.
But enough about the theory, right? All this is good, but at least we can translate it to a real person in a real life that doesn't mean anything. So this here is me. By the time I had the live fire of 3%, I was inside the club and I was rushing out because I was about to faint, totally exhausted. And this is also me. In a totally different situation with a live fire of 380, I was during a healing session, a Reiki healing session, and I was really feeling that I was rejuvenating from inside out. Totally different, as you can see. As the same person, same age, some days of difference, because the experience was different. And this is actually me again. By the time I have this 35%, that was earlier this morning, and this is called fear of public speaking. So this looks like fires, right? So it's a live fire, and it's introduced by Autonomous Health, which they're also supporting us for this experiment. This actually shows how your parasympathetic nervous system is able to function. So the more color you have, you're in a better state. Practically, that means that your brain and heart are communicating and you're in a state of optimal function. So just let me introduce again a little bit Mr. Makruti, so you can tell you a little bit more about the research and the actual data that we have about the parasympathetic nervous system and what it does to ourselves.
The ANS has two separate branches, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic branch acts like a gas pedal, speeding up internal processes and mobilizing energy. The parasympathetic branch acts like a brake pedal, slowing down internal processes. Both branches of the ANS connect to the heart. This is important because any change in activity in either branch affects the way the heart beats on the beat-to-beat basis. Any emotion we feel changes the activity of the branch of the ANS and has a major influence on all our body systems, especially on the way our heart beats. The two heart rhythms that you can see here belong to the same person. The top heart rhythm pattern was created because the person was instructed to feel frustration. When she shifted to feeling frustrated, her heart rhythms became chaotic looking. Depleting emotions such as frustration, impatience or anxiety are reflected in an irregular, chaotic HRV pattern, indicating that the activity between the sympathetic and parasympathetic system is out of sync. Scientists call this an incoherent heart rhythm. This is similar to driving a car with one foot on the accelerator and riding the brake with the other foot. Remember, the sympathetic branch speeds processes up and is like the gas pedal. The parasympathetic branch is like the brake pedal. It slows down processes. And as you can imagine, driving in this manner leads to a jerky ride. The heart sends a lot of information to the brain through the ANS. Incoherent heart rhythms inhibit brain function, impairing performance and amplify energy drains.
So, enough about with the theory, I think. Let's see how we can try that, actually. So I will ask you to just follow me in a very short session. Just take your hand and place it on the middle of your chest in the height of your heart. Can you detect your heartbeat? It's pretty easy, right? Great, thank you. You can place your hand down and detect again your heartbeat, but this time from inside out, so you just feel your heart pushing the walls of your chest. A little bit more tricky, but I hope it's still doable, right? So now I would like you in 10 seconds to raise your energy levels, create mental clarity, and free information flow. Just in 10 seconds. Go. 9, 8, 7. What happened? I don't see a lot of participation here. Maybe we do have to do that together. So this talk is not telling you about heart rate variability. This you can search online, you can find it anywhere. This talk is about actually introducing you to an experiment that we're going to be doing tomorrow and invite you to be part of it. So tomorrow here in World XR, we will be having 15 people from you with sensors like the one I'm having, sorry for that, like the one I'm having right here. Doesn't hurt, don't worry. This is a heart rate variability sensor, and this is going to show us your state during the whole day. So 15 people of you can have actually insights of what was happening inside of them during the whole day tomorrow. In the end of the day, we're going to have a deep look in the data that's behind that and understand which periods, speakers, actions, or experiences made your energy skyrocket and which made you want to run away from here. At the same time, with the 15 participants, I invite 10 speakers of the ones who are talking tomorrow to also be part in the experiment. For the speakers, it's going to be slightly different, as they don't need to be hooked the whole day. They're just going to have the sensor a little bit before their speech, during their speech, and slightly after. For them, we're going to be offering a short coherence session before they go on stage, so they can create this communication between heart and mind, and then when they step up here, they're in the best state ever. What's the goal? The goal is to understand how a person who's standing up here and it's in their best coherence level can affect everybody who's down on the audience. So after this talk, I will be just outside in the information desk, and I will be doing the registrations from the participants. We don't have so many spots, so please make sure you come. And also, the ones who are going to be able to participate, they will have a really nice add-on. On Saturday, we're going to be having a workshop, in-depth workshop of the data. That we're going to analyze one by one what exactly was happening inside of them. And as only knowing what's happening inside of us doesn't really help, the whole point is that we're going to learn how to create more coherence, how to be here and now, and how to create this communication that brings the optimal function. So it's pretty easy. You just come find me, and you're going to be part in one of the first experiments in the world in a live audience in Coherence. Thank you very much.